Right. Morning time, everybody. This is Anthony Fowler, Tone Set of Sports, coming back with part two. We're gonna talk about the defensive draft prospects for the Dallas Cowboys. Some of my prospects that I would prefer for us to watch and possibly draft. Because one thing we do know uh, for the Dallas Cowboys is that addressing the situation about having some good backup linebackers, because we know Sean Lee really don't hasn't played a whole season. Yeah, I think he had maybe 1 or 2 years where he played all 16 games. Um, so that's something we need to address. We also need to address the defensive line, because they saying we had a small but quicker defensive front, and we need to get back to 2016 where we had some meat in the middle, um, and where we was like number one in rush defense. So we need to get back to that. So let's get to it. I'm gonna talk about some of my draft prospects, and let's talk about this defensive line. Some defensive line prospects. Heck, my guys. I'm just gonna call off a couple of these guys, man. And I like this guy because he's hard. He's gonna be hard to move. And this is Tim Settle from Virginia Tech. He's 6'2", 335. And we know how Virginia Tech really do have some defensive athletes on that defensive line, and that's been going on for years, decades. As a matter of fact, they got either defensive linemen, linebackers, or DBs that are absolute studs, or just turn out to be pretty solid NFL players, and that's what we really need. We don't need any star-studded defensive linemen. We just need guys that are solid and can get it done and disciplined. So Tim Settle is the first one on my list, and he's a projected second round pick, 40 time 5'2". But he 2017 he had like 12 and a half sacks for loss. So that tells you that he can get in the backfield, that he's explosive, got a good first step and all that. But of course, everybody has their weaknesses. So, but that's why they're rookies. They need to be coached up. Another defensive lineman, he's a little undersized compared to Tim Settles, but the level of competition, the school program that he's coming out of. Yeah, you know that he's been coached up well, and that's Deshaun Hand from Alabama, and he's 6'4", 288, runs a 4.9. So yeah, he got a nice frame on him. I mean, 288 is not that bad, but speed, quickness, versatility, because Saban runs a 4.3 and 3.4 defense, so he's flexible within that defensive line, and that's the way I want him anyway, where I can set him on the edge, right, left, well, A gap, B gap, what I'm saying, all that stuff, and be disruptive. Just let him do his thing, depending on the situation. Because that's what it all comes down to with the Cowboys, is now they need to get this situational game intact, and this is what I'm talking about: adding depth and also finding not quality depth, but also but also versatility and explosiveness on the defense. So Deshaun Hand is another one. The next one I got in line, he's a second to third rounder. R.J. McIntosh from Miami, 6'3", 293. Runs a 4.9. Second to third round draft pick, draft projection. And you know how Miami was very disruptive this year. The turnover chain and all of that stuff. He's another one that had like 12 and a half sacks. 12 and a half tackles for loss. It has plenty of room to grow. And you know how the Florida boys, what's in that water, man. They pure athletes all across the board. So well, just down south, period. But particularly Florida and Louisiana, Georgia, and stuff like that, all across that whole Sun Belt. Those guys it was explosive last year, so he's definitely worthy of taking a look at and possibly drafting between the second and third round. Let's take a look at his partner that he played alongside with in Miami, and he's more of a that middle stuffer because of his girth. That's Kendrick Norton, Miami. That's he's 6'2", 312, 5'2" in the 40, and he's a third, fourth rounder, and with those two playing beside each other last year, man. It turned into some wins. All of us, even though they kind of lost it going, they didn't finish out like they wanted to, but we knew that Miami had finally, they was kind of resurrecting to what Miami Hurricanes used to be back in the 80s and early 90s and stuff. But yeah, this guy. Yeah, I think this might be one of them sleepers right here. So yeah, definitely Kendrick Norton, Miami. So Dallas, the scouting department, y'all seeing this video, man. Listen to what I'm saying now, because I've been doing this for like the last 10 years, man, and I've been putting it I've been putting it up there on the Dallas Cowboy fan board and stuff like that. And some of the guys that I've been picking, they have been have eventually become solid players or even superstars. So another one that's another sleeper, and this guy's versatility, because this guy is versatile. He was a Gatorade High School Player of the Year. He played in a hybrid defense, particularly inside the B gap, and he's still a bit raw, and you really need gonna have to coach him up. But he's a very good and impressive prospect, and he's more like the Taco Charlton size, 6'4", 294, runs a 4.9, projected fourth rounder. And that's Andrew Brown from Virginia, and I think y'all got yourself a steal. We would get ourselves a steal. He's a value pick. At the fourth round, he might even go lower, But believe me, if I'm looking at him. Believe me, a lot of other people are looking at him too. And, especially defensive-minded teams that has a knack for picking up value picks in these mid to late rounds, like the Steelers, Baltimore Ravens, New England Patriots, Seattle. Houston, they good at picking these. Minnesota, you gotta put Minnesota, Jacksonville, that really has built up their defenses. But you can also add Philly to that, but I think they're pretty set on the defensive line. But this is something that we need to get intact too, because we need to build up our line. Just like how Philly does theirs, and that's the reason why they got Bennett, just to add to that line, because they constantly rotating their defensive line up so their guys stay fresh. And I look at it like we should have our defensive front, our starting four, and let them play a segment, and then the next segment on defense, bring in the backups, and really the backups are just like starters. You just got an 8-man front, to be honest with you. And you can just constantly rotate them out without having to substitute, especially if these guys can play all four downs in all situations if you coach them right. So that's something we got to do, Dallas. Now, let's go to my next part. Is really, and this is going to be the last part, that is the linebacker grade. And Lindy's Pro Draft magazine is giving the linebackers a grade A. If we can get Roquan Smith out of Georgia, that's fine. I prefer him in the 240s, but he's 6 foot 230, runs a 4.6. And he's a projected first rounder, but I don't know if we're going to be able to get him. And it make no sense to even get him either unless he's going to play right away. But we got Sean Lee, as a middle linebacker. So, but he's more of a 3-4 scheme anyway. But what I'm looking for is versatility. But he's someone to mention. Tremaine Edmonds from Virginia Tech is another one that's worth mentioning. But he's projected first rounder too. Now let's get to where I want to go on this. Where these are my 3 sleepers that I do have going that's going in the later rounds. And one of my biggest sleepers, out of the 3 is Malik Jefferson out of Texas, 6'2", 240, runs a 4.66, second to third round. Because he played Mike linebacker under Charlie Strong, and then under Tyler Lando, they moved him to Rover in that hybrid offense, and that's that hybrid offense and that hybrid defense. So therefore, that versatility, and also he had in these schemes he had 110 tackles and was the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year honors. So he was up there, even though he might not have got it, but he was up there. So I think that I like that size right there. He's someone that could be a sleeper, and I don't even really think he's much of a sleeper. It's just the fact that we got to go and get him, and he's right in our backyard. So we could definitely groom him. Another linebacker that has versatility, played in a hybrid scheme, but also played Mike, but he lined up everywhere in the defense, and that's Michael Kaiser from Virginia, and he's 6'1", 240. Ran a 4.7, projected third and fourth rounder, and like I said, he played in 4-3, 3-4 defensive scheme, and moved around, and he produced, and really probably really probably could go higher than that. I mean, really, it all depends on who like him, but Virginia been putting out some linebackers for like at least 20 years, some solid, maybe not the Ray Lewis's type, what I'm saying, Patrick Willis, but just solid linebackers that could just get it done, and smart too. And so value pick right there. Of course, I'm going to go Shaquem Griffin out for the outside, because of the speed. We know at the combine he ran like a 4.3. I think he needed to get his weight up some, because they got him at 229 here, but I did think he got up to like to the 230s or whatnot, and he's a 4th. They got him projected in the 4th or 5th round, but due to his straight line speed, running that 4.3, that might have bumped him up a little bit, because we know with the missing hand, it don't even matter. He's been playing like that all his life, so he's another one that's noteworthy. At the linebacker position. So that's what I another one. I got a couple more just to worth mentioning. Of course, is out of Alabama, Sean Dion Hamilton. 6 foot 235. Nick Saban claims that he's one of the smarter players he coached. But the only thing is health, because he tore an ACL in 2016 and broke his patella in 2017. But the guy is super smart because he was a valedictorian. He was a valedictorian. So that at the school, so that goes to show you he has a high IQ or whatnot. But he's definitely something worth checking out because of his athleticism, the competitive nature of the program, and he's battle tested. Kind of reminds me of a Jonathan Vilma in a sense. But some other noteworthy linebackers that's not getting the recognition, but could be value picks. And I'm trying to think of that 5'11" outside linebacker we used to have during that win era. I can't think of his name. He was like 5'11", but he was beast though. Real athletic for the Dallas Cowboys. But this is another guy, Frank Jenda from San Jose State, 5'11", 245. Now this is what is impressive is that come on, he had made 173 tackles, and still had a year of eligibility left on his college scholarship. So 173 tackles. That means he's a sideline to sideline tackle machine. Chris Worley is another one out of Ohio State, and he's 6'1", 232. Just because of the competitive nature of the program, where it came from, Ohio State, versatility, and they claim he's a pretty smart linebacker, and Ohio State also produces some good NFL draft prospects as well. So one more player I did forget, and that was on the defensive line, and he's from a small school, and he was like the defensive player of the year. I'm trying to find his name. And he's from Fort Hays State. That's Nathan Shepard, 6'4", 310, runs a 5 flat, 507. But he won he was a finalist for the Cliff Harris Award in the non-Division One. And he also really showed his stuff at the Senior Bowl too. So he's a projected third rounder. So that could be a sleeper as well. That's for the defensive line, so I had to go back to him. Well, this is Tone Setter, and my name's Anthony Fallon. Everybody have a good day, good Saturday. Peace.